Oh, that looks so cool.
Today we're going to be visiting the Backrooms. I've been wanting to try my hand at 3D printing stained glass for a while, and I thought a smiler would be the perfect thing to try this out on. The only problem is clear filament is opaque at best, and how do you accurately depict an entity that's literally just a glowing smile in the dark? The answer to both of those questions is glow-in-the-dark epoxy resin. But just remember, before you can see something glow in the dark, you first have to turn out the lights.
After messing around in Blender for a couple hours, this is what I came up with. I want this frame to be stiff, so I'm gonna bump up my default slicer settings just a little bit and then enable support. That's for these sockets, which I'll use to friction fit suction cups. PLACF is my favorite type of filament to use for these projects, so after drying it, it's finally time to hit print. See, 3D printing's not that scary. Like I mentioned earlier, I designed these sockets to friction fit suction cups that I found on Amazon. I'll leave a link to the exact ones I'm using in the description. If you have any stringing on your print, you can use a heat gun to melt those away, but be careful. Next, you'll need a piece of glass big enough to comfortably fit your print on. We're gonna use this to run a perimeter of hot glue around the edges. And for the next couple steps, make sure you're putting this face down on the glass with the sockets pointed up. We're actually gonna pour our silicone gasket directly inside of this hot glue dam, so it's important that it doesn't have any breaks or gaps in it. The silicone is to help prevent the resin from leaking out around the bottom later, because nobody likes a leaky bottom. I really only need a thin film for my gasket, so I'm just gonna mix up a small batch. I found about 30 grams total is perfect. Next, I'll carefully mix this for about 3 to 4 minutes and then pop it into my vacuum chamber for degassing. This step is optional, but I just do it anyways. I'll give it one last wipe to make sure there's no oil or hair on the glass, and then I'll pour my silicone directly into the hot glue dam. If your silicone doesn't self-level like mine didn't, you can use an acid brush and just paint the silicone onto the surface. Like I said, this should be extremely thin, really more of a film than anything. To make an effective gasket, we actually need the frame to sink all the way down to the glass. So before the silicone has had time to cure, we're just gonna drop our print directly into it. This looks pretty good to me, so I'll see you in 24 hours. Now that our silicone gasket is firmly in place, it's time to mix some resin. I'll be using about 4 ounces total of 2-part epoxy resin, and just like the silicone, I'm gonna mix this thoroughly and then degas this in my vacuum chamber. While technically you could get away without degassing, this is what's gonna give us that crystal clear glass effect. Before going any further, I need to separate out 2 smaller cups of resin, one for red, which we'll use for the eyes, and one for blue that we'll use for the teeth. Speaking of eyes, if yours are still watching the video, it might mean that you like my content. Consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing to the channel. And if you're already a subscriber, thanks for coming back. Anyways, let's get back to the project. I'm gonna pour my colored resins first. I do this so if I over pour one of the cells, I have the opportunity to wipe it up. If I poured the clear resin first, the color would contaminate it and I'd have no way of getting it out. But other than that, this technique is extremely beginner friendly. You're really just kind of painting by numbers. As long as you take the time to plan out your colors and go slow on the pours, you're gonna be fine. And there's so much room for customization. You could easily use alcohol inks instead of glow powder or mica flakes to create a totally unique creation. In fact, let me know in the comments how you would customize this. After letting the resin cure for a full 24 hours, it's finally time to get this thing off the glass. It might look like a cryptid molting its skin, but trust me, peeling the silicone off the back of this thing was like almost as satisfying as popping bubble wrap. I mean, listen to this. Besides, you're not a true Backrooms fan until you've seen a smiler molt. And here's my favorite part. Because the silicone clings to the walls of the print, the resin ends up taking on that shape. So what you end up with is almost like a concave lens that acts like a magnifying glass. But that's not why you guys came here, so let's get this thing in a dark room and turn off the lights. So what do you think? Is this a fitting homage to one of the Backrooms' scariest monsters? Or did my smiler make you frown? As always, if you feel like making your own, the files are freely available on MakerWorld. However, I will be creating a limited edition drop of one of these. I've already printed off the frame in PETCF on a carbon fiber build plate, and it's looking pretty legit so far. So if you feel like supporting the channel or just want to buy some cool merch, hit my Etsy link in the description. As for this, I think that about wraps things up, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you on the next project.